Hey everybody, Manny Talavera here. We're going to continue on day 32 here, the seven-figure climb. And what we're going to talk about today, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about marketing assets and we're going to talk about infrastructure. Now, we have covered these in the past. I just want to continue to give you all the insights here because when I cover things, I will look at them in a completely different direction, maybe the second time than I looked at them the first time. And then the other thing is, I have been very, very, very sick. I'm still continuing to have problems. And so because of that, sometimes I feel like some of these videos haven't been the best. And so it's really a good idea to cover some of these things more than once. And then the other thing is, what you're going to find is you really need to develop all of these things. And so we're just going to continue to go over them over and over and over again. So the first thing we're going to talk about is marketing assets. And the first marketing asset, of course, is your expertise. Your expertise is the thing that you're ultimately going to be offering to people that you're going to be trading about money for. And so that's going to be a very, very big marketing asset that you're going to have. The next thing is going to be skills that you have learned. And like I said many, many times here, the likelihood of going from zero to $1 million with one offer or one product or one coaching program is very low. You're going to have a lot of things that fail. And as you fail, the key is to quickly get up and get something else in front of your market and try again. And what's going to happen as you do that, you're developing skills. You're learning what works and what doesn't. And those skills you get to take with you. So it's interesting. So if I create something and I only sell 20 copies of it or whatever, it does not bother me at all because everything that I learned in that launch, I get to take with me. And everything that I learned that doesn't work, I get to let go of. And so you're going to learn a lot of skills along the way, and that's going to be very valuable. The next thing is email lists. And I think more important than email lists is going to be buyers lists. And so when you want to think about buyers lists, a buyers list are people who've given you money. And ultimately, once you're at a high level in this thing, once you're probably beyond seven figures, you're only going to be focusing on buyers lists. So Frank Kern does not have opt-in lists. He doesn't make an offer to get people to opt in. He sells people something to get them to opt in. And the reason for that is that as a buyer is worth 100 times more than some random person who opted in for something for free. And so you're going to constantly be creating tripwire offers where you sell something right after they opt in, or you're going to create direct offers that are $4.99, $7.99, even upwards of $97 that essentially sell something to someone, and we're selling them to something to get them on our list. And those buyers lists are going to be very, very valuable to you. And the next thing is all of the audiences you control. So audiences are going to be the audience on Facebook, the audience on YouTube, the audience on Twitter, the audience in your private Facebook group. Now, these, unfortunately, again, you don't really control those audiences, but there is going to be some value there. And so the more of the bigger your audience is, essentially, the better you're going to be able to do, and the more you're going to be able to test offers and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And the next asset is going to be courses or coaching programs or anything that you've created. Every time you do that, it's a learning process and you get better and better and better at it. And then the last thing we're going to talk about here is a proof of concept. And the proof of concept is one, you were able to sell something and two people were willing to buy it. And when you get those two things down, you have a proof of concept on a product or service, it's going to be easier to sell, but you have to get that. And the sooner you get these things, the sooner you get to go to the next level. And like I said, you just got to be prepared for failure, and you got to fail a lot and get up again and just keep iterating, keep trying these things. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over some of the infrastructure. I'll try and give you everything I have here. And then what you need to do, if I mentioned something that's not on your list or you don't have yet, doesn't necessarily mean you need it, but you're probably going to need something similar at some point. So ClickFunnels. I use ClickFunnels for offers and landing pages and to direct someone to Kajabi to actually buy. So I use ClickFunnels for offers and opt-ins and things like that. I use GetResponse to collect email. And so I create something in ClickFunnels, I create an opt-in, people opt in, they give me their email that goes into GetResponse, and then they see an offer or a sales page. And when they click to buy on that, they're taken to the Kajabi page to pay for that. So the next thing I've got is Kajabi. And Kajabi is what I use to to deliver course content. And so I've got Kajabi, I've got, I don't know, 40 or 50 products. I don't really know how many are there. I've kind of lost track over time, but quite a bit of content there. And so what I like about Kajabi is people make a payment, they get instant access, they get a credit, they create a password, and they're in, and they can go back in and view that content at any time. Now I take PayPal and Stripe for payment. Now there's also something called Kajabi payments. I haven't set that up yet, but I can also set that up. And I'm going to be experimenting with a few offers where I'm also going to be taking Zelle, Cash App, and things like that for some things I'm going to be doing on Facebook here in the future. So we'll be practicing with that. And I do have all of those. I've just never used them yet. And so that's what you want to think about there. The next thing is Calendly. I use Calendly for scheduling calls. And so as you get into this, even if you're not going to be scheduling calls to sell coaching or sell a product, a lot of times you're going to need to schedule calls to have conversations with people who might be an affiliate for you or someone who can help you in some way. And you really need a system for doing that. And actually, I don't know why I've got Calendly here because I actually use Schedule once, but Calendly's on here. But so you can use Calendly, you can use Schedule once. I used Time Trade when I first started, and I don't know why I dropped Time Trade. They had a feature that they dropped that I was using a lot, but I use Schedule once for that. But like I said, you just need to pick one of these and go with them. But you're going to need to do this if you're going to have conversations with people. And if you're going to be in this space, people are going to reach out. They're going to want to have conversations with you. And they're going to want to schedule those out in space. And you really want a software that can handle that. I use Camtasia and PowerPoint for doing course creation. I do a lot of Camtasia and PowerPoint. When I first started out, I was all in camera, like what I'm doing here. And then later on, I graduated and I started doing the Camtasia. Now it's probably a 70-30 split. So most of my courses will be 70% Camtasia and PowerPoint and maybe 30% in-camera video. And then I do have a private YouTube channel. I think there's just a little over 1,000 people on that. I've got a private Facebook group with 16,700. Actually, I think both of them. It's very interesting. I've got a local Newcastle group, and then I've got a coaches, consultants, and course creators group, and they're both right around 16,700 right now. And so that's the infrastructure. And I also create private Facebook groups to do videos just like this. So I'm actually in a private Facebook group right now recording this. And then what I do is I record it in a private Facebook group, and then I just basically download that and run it into YouTube. But I can download it and run it into Kajabi also. And so that's another thing that you can do. But what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to figure out all of the infrastructure that you need, and then you're going to need to get that. And I can tell you things like getting people to opt in. You've got to tackle that as quickly as possible. The sooner you have people opting in, the better off you are. Even if they're not buying anything, even if you don't have anything to sell right now, create a private group and start collecting email addresses and start dropping them in ClickFunnels, Aweber, MailChimp, or one of those. And you're just going to need that. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about here, I probably didn't cover this when I covered this content the first time. So ClickFunnels and GetResponse, right? I've got ClickFunnels. I could just upgrade in ClickFunnels and I could use their email. I wouldn't have to use GetResponse. Kajabi, and ClickFunnels essentially both do the same things now. So both of them, we can create funnels in both of them. We can create courses in both of them. And what's interesting, when I originally signed up for ClickFunnels, there was no course capability. And when I originally signed up for Kajabi, there was no email or funnel capability. But now they're trying to be everything to all people. I could certainly drop either of these and switch over, but I like the way I'm doing this. And I can tell you, I will never have my email service provider linked to ClickFunnels or Camtasia or Kajabi or any platform. My email is always going to be separate because I want to be able to go into GetResponse, make an email, and send it out to my list. And I want to manage all of that separately. And so there's some overlap here, but I do it for a reason. Now, another reason I do it is I don't want to spend the time to learn the new technology of doing it somewhere else, because I've already got the technology and it's already working. So I don't want to waste time trying to figure that out. Now, I may have to go to ClickFunnels 2.0 at some point. I may learn all of that and start doing other things there. But right now, I'm very happy with this process. Now, let me add these up. I'll add these up really quick while we're talking, and I might mess the numbers up. And I think when I did this, I gave you all a figure. So ClickFunnels is 97 a month. GetResponse is 45 a month. So that's 150. That Kajabi is 1,300 a year. So that's $110 a month or something. So that's 250. Uh, Schedule once is $19. That's 275. Camtasia and PowerPoint, I mean, I paid for them, but it's a sunk cost because I only had to pay for them once. So when you get into doing all of these things, it's not inexpensive. You've got to be really committed. And the other thing you got to do, and I've been doing this from day one, and it's something that you really need to do. It's a filter that you need to use. And that filter is, what's this going to look like if I'm at 7 figures? Because you need to know, is Kajabi going to crash? Well, Kajabi isn't going to crash. The biggest marketers out there use Kajabi. The biggest marketers out there use ClickFunnels. Some of the biggest marketers use GetResponse. And so I'm paying for services that a lot of people in our space are already using, and they're doing very well with it. And I know that if I send 1,000 people through a funnel, I'm fairly confident that ClickFunnels isn't going to crack up on me. The problem is you can get a lot of these tools that are very, very, very inexpensive, and they might work, but will they work at scale? Will they work if you send 5,000 people to a link? If I send 5,000 people from ClickFunnels to Kajabi to opt in to purchase and opt in, I'm very confident they're gonna get that. It's going to work. But you got to have a way to deliver the content, and you got to have a way for people to opt in. And so my advice to you here is, don't try to do it inexpensively. Try to do it as efficiently as possible. And then the other thing you got to do is you got to learn all these platforms. You got to learn ClickFunnels if you're using that. You got to learn GetResponse. You got to learn Kajabi. You got to learn Camtasia. You got to learn Schedule Once. You got to learn the platforms. But the main thing here, I want you to take from all of this, is that when you're building this infrastructure, don't ask yourself how you can quickly and cheaply do it. Ask yourself how you can most effectively do it, and ask yourself how are the gurus doing it and what are they using, and then go from there and be willing to pay, because the worst thing that could happen is you send people to a link that you create somewhere with an ambiguous site, and the link doesn't work, or it freezes, or when they click on that they click to go from one place to another, the pages don't load or whatever. And so, like I said, you got to be willing to invest in the infrastructure. And so, what we were talking about here was infrastructure and marketing assets. And my advice to you, like I said, create something that's going to last for a long period of time. And what's interesting is I've got everything I need, in my opinion, to make a transition and scale this something to 7 figures. And anything that's not here, we'll pick up along the way. But I won't be looking for cheap shortcuts. But I appreciate you all watching, and we'll see you all on the next video. And thanks a lot.